Fox News Podcasts presents the Bret Baier Podcast, Common Ground.
There are a number of senators on the Republican side that continue to want to find common ground.
We emphasize the conflict and controversy sells, and I think that's a problem because most Americans look at Washington and see something that's broken.
Why don't we look for ways that we celebrate what this country is capable of doing?
It's amazing what you can do when you get off social media and you start talking and communicating with one another because there is common ground.
With Fox News chief political anchor Bret Baier.
Democrats have nothing to show for what they do. They allowed 25 million people to come into our country, gang members, jailbirds from mental institutions, insane asylums, just walk right through it. I'm doing something about it. We have it under check right now.
Well, President Trump blaming Democrats for the illegal immigration crisis he says he's been aggressively addressing. It is a big question. We're back on Capitol Hill for the Common Ground segment tonight and a bipartisan effort to address, among other things, immigration. Joining us tonight, the top priority for the House Problem Solvers Caucus, fixing immigration system. Joining us, the co-chairs of that panel, Pennsylvania Republican Brian Fitzpatrick and New York Democrat Tom Suozzi. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
It is a huge issue. You guys are working on things, but can something really be accomplished, even around the edges, on the issue of immigration?
Well, I think it has to be done. And, you know, it's been going on for 30, 40 years in our country that we've had this problem. And we have to give the administration credit, the president credit, for the fact that they have done a great job securing the border. But we need to pass laws to make sure that'll last beyond any administration in the future. We need to fix the broken asylum system, and we need to lean into some of the president's comments where he says that farm workers and hospitality workers and other essential workers that are so important to our economy that have been here for more than 10 years, that have otherwise been following the rules and going to work 6 days a week and going to church on Sunday, let's figure out a way to legalize them so they can continue to work in the United States.
You know, a lot of your fellow Democrats are really going after ICE and the visuals of some of these raids and what they're doing. Do you feel they're doing the wrong thing?
Well, I think they're doing some things that are good, and I think they're doing some things that are bad. And any administration that tries to do a lot of enforcement, whether it was Obama or Biden when they did it, things will always go wrong. And I think that the president's efforts to try and address this, his legacy will be hurt if you continue to see people with masks that break into innocent families' homes, that pick up people in the community and haul them off when they're otherwise innocent people. So let's not focus on that. Let's focus on how can we address this for the long term? Secure the border, fix the broken asylum system, treat people like human beings, and address the questions that we have from business, badges, and the Bible to treat people well.
I mean, the president and his people say we did the border. There were 0 released for 2 months in a row. And those numbers are way, way down as far as encounters. So how do you see it?
Yeah, well, that just goes to show you that enforcement is a huge, huge part of this equation. Yes, we need laws to strengthen the border control apparatus. Yes, we need funding, but enforcement is a big part of it, right? You can pass all the laws all day you want, but if prosecutors aren't going to prosecute them, then it's all for naught. So to Tom's point, yes, we need enforcement at the border. The president is doing so, and I think that's a good thing. But there needs to be legislation to make sure this is a durable, sustainable solution.
What does it look like? What does that piece of legislation look like? Because every time we go down this comprehensive immigration bill, it doesn't get done.
Yeah. So Tom and I talk about this a lot. We're both very passionate about it. If you look at Ellis Island, right, you always talk about having a modern day Ellis Island perspective of it. That's a tremendous source of American immigration pride, but it was done the right way. There were health screeners, there were financial checks. You had to have sponsors. There were employment requirements. It was a sensible solution to deal with immigration that was very different, looked very different in that era. But the greatest strength we have as a nation, Brett, is that everybody wants to come here. China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, nobody wants to move to those countries, and they have massive demographic problems on the horizon because of that. We have an endless labor supply. We can attract the best and brightest people from across the world to come here, stay here, and work here, and that's a huge advantage we have.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause here. We'll be back after this.
And, you know, my father was born in Italy. So when I think of America and I think of the American dream, I think of the immigration story, and it kills me that immigration has become such a negative. And again, we have to lean into what the president has said, that we have people here that are working in agriculture and hospitality, other essential businesses, that are good people that may not have the proper documentation. We have to use some common sense. So let's figure out a way how people can continue to work, and they can pay their taxes, and they can stop looking over their shoulder that they're going to be deported. If you've been following the rules otherwise, not committing any crime, everybody should agree that if you're a violent criminal, you got to be deported out of the country. Not
everybody does.
Well, that's not reasonable. Everybody should agree with that. And so let's do that. But again, let's worry about these families that have been here a long time. You know people, I know people, Brian knows people. The guy's working there, he's the most reliable worker. They're always on time. They're always working as hard as they can. But he's been here for 20 years, and he really doesn't have the proper documentation. Let's figure out a way that not to get citizenship, but to have legal status here in the United States of America.
Every time we talk about trying to get something done, we always seem to be one election away from solving the big issues. We really do, because votes are around how you vote for the election one way or the other. Both of you voted against the big, beautiful bill, largely for Medicaid concerns. New York Post had it this way. New York Dem Tom Suozzi voted against Trump's big, beautiful bill, but admits he agrees with 75% of it. Now, Ronald Reagan used to say, hey, you get 75, 80%, you're pretty close.
Well, listen, there were good things. I like the idea of giving tax breaks to middle income and people aspiring to the middle class, give them tax breaks. I like that idea. I like the idea of giving money to help secure the border. But I did not think it was a good idea to give some tax breaks to some of the wealthiest people in the country who don't need it right now. The economy's been booming. They've been making a lot of money on the stock market for years. Cutting Medicaid and SNAP for some of the neediest Americans in our country, food assistance, and all at the same time blowing the biggest deficit in the history of the country. One of the things we want to work on together going forward, in addition to immigration, is working on debt and deficit, as well as permitting reform.
But this rescissions package barely gets through the House, just barely. The Senate, just barely. They have to call in Vice President Vance. What does that say about Washington's ability to cut spending? It's really pretty poor.
It is, and that's why I think we need a debt and deficit commission, much like Simpson-Bowles, modeled similar to the 9/11 Commission. You don't have any currently serving elected officials. Bring subject matter experts in, a 1-to-1 D to R ratio, where everything is on the table, revenues and expenses. That's the way families deal with their budgets. They say, okay, we have this amount of expenditures, we have this amount of revenue, we got to make it work. And that's what a debt and deficit commission would do. The problem with Simpson-Bowles, they came up with all these amazing recommendations and it got shelved. It never got voted on. I think we need to fix that.
Now's the time for us to start working together. If the rescission package, the BBB, they're all kind of one-party bills, my way or the highway. Let's work together. Let's try and
But again, you were 75%.
I know, but the things that were there were just too dramatically wrong. I mean, it's going to hurt a lot of people in my district.
Elections have consequences, right?
Yeah.
So you put the bills together, but you guys are working together.
But let's work together. I mean, we want to meet with the president. We want to work with the president to try and get things done. And the reality is that people are dying for people to work together. They want us to work together.
Trust me, I do. And we will. Common ground, people pay attention.
We will have better results. We will have better results if you say, listen, maybe we should raise taxes for some of the wealthiest people in the country, not to attack people, not class warfare, but something fair to address the deficit. At the same time, let's negotiate the prices on prescription drugs to save a bunch of money in Medicaid and Medicare. It could be huge savings. Let's go after waste, fraud, and abuse, not through Doge scattershot stuff, but working together as a team to try and find those places to save money.
There's a large part of your party, though, that seems like it's going the other way. That's going into the fight mode. Yesterday in Washington, the Democratic mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, was in town meeting with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others of your colleagues. You wrote in an opinion piece, for Democrats, Mamdani is a wake-up call and a bad example. You didn't go to that meeting.
No.
No, and you think he's a bad example.
Well, the bottom line is I'm a democratic capitalist. I'm not a democratic socialist. And I believe in our country and what we need to do. And the answer is not to raise taxes at the local level, especially in places like New York City, where we're going to chase more people out of New York City down to Florida or down to Texas or down to Tennessee. So we've got to figure out how to make our states more and our cities more attractive at the local level. But we could learn a lesson from Mamdani and from Trump, who both appeal to people based upon affordability and economic issues. And we, as Democrats on my side, need to lean in more to affordability, immigration, taxes, crime, health care. That's what the American people care about. If you poll the American people, that's what they say.
But do you see your party going that way?
Well, I am going that way.
I know,
and
but
there are
others?
I'm trying to bring others, and there are others that believe that same thing. So if you poll the American people, what do you care about the most? They say economy, immigration, taxes, crime, and health care. If you ask those same people, what do you think the Democrats are focused on? They say choice, LGBT protections, health care, a little bit of crossover there, preserving democracy, and climate change. Well, that's not going to, those are important issues, but you're not going to win based upon those issues. You got to talk about what the people want to talk about. They want to talk about the economy, immigration, taxes, crime, and health care.
Well, listen, you guys are great examples of common ground. Thank you for coming on Common Ground segment. We do have common ground in congratulating you and our own Jackie Heinrich for your engagement, which had some amazing pictures.
Yeah.
Any word? I mean, where that seemed like it was made for television.
It was in Provence in France. It was a place she always wanted to go to, and it was a 10-day vacation.
He is. It was the lavender lover.
A 10-day vacation that got truncated into 48 hours for the job, unfortunately.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much,
That's a good way to end this segment. Thanks a lot.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.